You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. Welcome to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. I am your host, Brandy Williams, here to bring you a week ahead forecast for the week of December 30th to January 6th. I hope everyone is doing well as we are walking into a new calendar year, but it doesn't have to be an energetic new year because if you know, you know, some of us don't feel that new year happening until March. So, without further ado, let's get into it. December 30th, yesterday, we experienced a Capricorn new moon. The sun and the moon were cuddled up at about 9 to 10 degrees of Capricorn. And so we have this bossed up future goal setting full moon energy that's happening for us, sitting in conversation with its own ruler in a sextile to Saturn, who is still in Pisces. So this is our spiritual teacher guiding this new moon. And you know what? This week, our spiritual teacher is really coming through as a wise woman, an elder, crone energy, who is teaching us and guiding us up our own individual mountain. Many of us are in review of what worked over the past year and what didn't work. And we are taking a glance at the previous year and determining what we want to take with us into the new year and what we want to leave behind. So I feel like this new moon is a business meeting with the self. This is a good time to ease into quarterly planning if you tend to make very long-term goals or even 6-month goals. Maybe you can break it down into the 4 seasons. So, this is a good time to determine, like, what do I have planned for this season? Some of us are easing into this calendar new year with rest, and then when the spring equinox happens is when we take some different type of action. So with this future focused energy, there can be racing thoughts. We could really think about how we interact with others, thinking about who's coming with us and who's staying behind in this new year. And this could be a time when we're feeling really serious, looking at our journey ahead and our path and our goals. So this first week of January could be coming with some tension. Chiron did station direct December 29th. And this is pertaining to our deep soul wounding and how we can extract deep soul healing from that wound. So we could be feeling a little sensitive. We could have some grief coming up, just some salty feelings coming up with a little layer of hostility and maybe some anger. Mars is still very much in retrograde, so we could definitely feel just annoyed. We could feel salty. We could even experience some rage. But that anger is showing us the boundaries and what wants to change. So we can think of these tense feelings as kind of like those construction spray paint X's on trees, or if you're walking, you'll see a line where there is some type of construction or readjustment preparing to happen. And we can ask ourselves, what wants to change? What wants to be cut down? Where does the fence line need to be readjusted? And just remember, there's nothing that you need to do with this energy. This dark moon is a time where we get quiet and go within. New moons are always a time to slow down and to observe, to disconnect from the shoulding yourself, what you should be doing, what you're supposed to be doing. We're just listening to our inner world, and we are looking at how we've structured our lives, how far we've come, and what we want to realign. And so as we usher into January, we're going to really feel this Mars dominated energy, just a lot of tension coming into this first week. We have Pluto in Aquarius. This has everything to do with what wants to transform for us. And then Mars is going to retrograde in Cancer for the first 4 months of January. So, just really ushering in this protective energy. So on January 2nd, Venus is going to ingress into Pisces, and this is where Venus is exalted. So she is bringing in creativity. She's bringing the art. She's bringing the flow of the divine feminine, and she's bringing in self-love and compassion, which is much needed the first week of January. On January 3rd, we will have Mars retrograde in Leo, opposing Pluto in Aquarius. And this conversation is bringing up power dynamics, heightened conflict. Pluto has everything to do with what is being dismantled to rebuild in a new way. And Mars has everything to do with our desire. And this opposition can be very triggering. We could feel feelings of loss, we could feel past wounds coming up. And many people can feel really reactive, frustrated, or annoyed this week. But this is a time that we want to tune into our own wounding because it's really easy when we get activated to project outward and pay more attention and give more energy to who is scratching up against that wound so that we can project that energy out. But we really want to take that back inside as Mars is in retrograde. This is the time for deep self review, to be in our own stories, to ask ourselves why we're feeling this particular tension. What type of fears are we coming up against? And what is this pain trying to tell us? This is also an opportunity to extend some type of compassion with Venus being in Pisces, compassion to others, not taking something personally, and just really understanding that everybody has some type of wound that is speaking to them at this time, especially with Chiron being direct. We're all going through some type of pain. We're all going through something, but this is a time where we can get into our own experience and really do some examinations. During this week, we are coming up against the energy of what wants to split. And if something wants to leave, if someone wants to be mad and not talk to you anymore or split just because you're in your own experience, and you're no longer jumping through these hoops to regulate someone else's nervous system, this is a time where we want to honor that split. If you've listened to my previous podcast episode, you know that this year we're going to be in a year of release and letting things unravel. So hold the boundary of being in your own boat, in your own experience, and let the breakdowns and the breakups commence. And if that means you are choosing you versus another entity, let that go, because whatever is meant to go is not going to stay no matter how much we hold on or fight for it. One of my astrology mentors, Molly McCord, said in her podcast a few days ago that what you fight to get, you fight to keep. And I really resonated with that, because what are the things that we feel like we're holding on to? And it's always a constant struggle and a battle. That aligned choice and that aligned situation is always going to feel ease and it's going to feel calm. I mean, it's going to be tension sometimes because that's the human experience, but it's not going to feel like an uphill battle when you are walking into your own alignment and are in the experience of something that is meant to be with you. So this is a time that you want to let what wants to go go. We are in a process of recreating something this year, something that's more aligned with the authentic self. We're really walking away from any performative energy or feeling like we need to be somebody else and say something else to keep people around. We're going to be in a state of release with that South Node in Virgo. In the next week, we're really letting all the things unravel. So wherever you have 1 degree of Leo or 1 degree of Aquarius, this is where this challenge, this breakup, this breakdown is happening. Pluto is ending some big things in January through April. Mars is going to have you coming into some deep self-review. So don't rush the process. Honor what wants to come up. Honor the split. This is a very warlike energy in the collective and in ourselves, our own experiences. And ultimately, something is meant to be over. Pluto is ending some things, Mars is ending some things, and we just really want to honor the transformation that wants to come through. And then on January 6th, Mars will go into Cancer. This is an extremely protective Mars. This is a time where we could be really emotionally reactive and really be in a situation of some intensified conflict. So we just want to take a step back, want to fall back. We just want to, fly under the radar, really be in our own self review, really figure out how we can nourish and nurture our own nervous systems, and don't be in any conflicts, because right now everybody's feeling tense. Everybody's feeling tender, and all we're going to do is make our own situations worse. And we ain't trying to do that, because we are on our way to some bigger and better things, but we're unlearning, and it's all a part of the process. So that is all I have for this week. Short and sweet. I hope that you can bring in your own groundedness and your own ease. Take what resonates, leave the rest, and I will see you next week. Thank you all. Bye bye. You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast.